Being the messy creative that I am, it took me a long time to actually have the self-awareness to admit to myself that I'm pretty darn good at marketing. It actually took someone else who I admire saying, wow, you are a marketing genius. And I don't know why I had so much resistance around claiming that. I always just considered myself to be a professional community builder and leadership connoisseur. I never really looked in the mirror and felt like I was good at marketing. And maybe that's because I was always, working so hard to hit my own goals. Well, this episode is going to be super cool because I am going to walk you through the 4 phases of marketing in my own eyes, in my perception. So I'm sure there's literature out there on the different phases of marketing or marketing books with the different chapters, but this is my version. This is my messy success, type B, creative-hearted, community-loving version of the different stages of marketing. So get a pen and paper out. You're going to love this. You're going to get some kind of golden nugget from it. And let's dive right in. Welcome back to the Messy Success Podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Henson, and I help high-performing artists and creative leaders grow and scale communities so that marketing is easy. This podcast combines business tips and real-life experiences in being the creative entrepreneur that we all are. So you're in the right place if you want to leave feeling a little bit more confident and normalize these day-to-day struggles that we all experience as business owners. And you can do this while mastering your marketing so that business is light and easy. I'm so glad you're joining me here where we can get a little bit messy, a little bit creative, and it's okay to be super ambitious. Let's get started. All right, before we dive in, I want to remind you guys that the doors to the Community Growth Lab are opening very soon. So I want to make sure if you have any interest in getting your hands on my 5-step methodology that it takes to build a community around your brand so that marketing is super easy, head over to the show notes and make sure that you sign up for our wait list. You can go to elizabethhenson.co/E125. If you're already on our email list, just make sure that you are keeping your eye out. Make sure you pop into the Community Builder group on Facebook and you won't miss any of those announcements. We're doing a special free training, but the best thing that you can do is just make sure that you are on that wait list. And if you're listening to this podcast and it's a year or 2 later or a month later, you will still be able to access the wait list. We only open the doors once or twice a year. And I'm just really, really excited. But this episode is actually around something else, something very new and special. And we are actually in the process of launching our first group coaching program that is very high level picture coaching, masterminding, and some done for you elements and deliverables. And I've been putting feelers out there for a long time, saying that I'm working on this behind the scenes, that I'm basically creating the next level to the Community Growth Lab. For now, I'm calling it the Community Growth Lab CMO Accelerator because the goal is that everyone who goes through this program becomes a super high level chief marketing officer of their own business. And of course, if your long-term goal is to delegate your marketing, you have to be the master of it first. So this really will set you up for success to either just wear that hat and be the CMO of your own business or to delegate or hire a marketing expert. Because a mistake I made over years and years is like constantly trying to hire a marketing pro when I didn't actually understand the marketing of my own business. I did this super early on and it always ended up in frustration and a waste of money. And I don't want that for you guys. So we developed these 4 phases that I'm going to share with you today on the podcast to really help our students self-identify where they are in the process and how we can help them get to the next phase of their marketing. So if you're interested in jumping on a free call with me to hear more about this beta program, I will also put that in the show notes. I offer free calls to look at these 4 phases, to identify where you are, and to talk about how this program will move the needle for you. So let's go ahead and get started on the 4 phases. I'm just going to speak as if you guys are sitting right in front of me and I'm teaching a masterclass on these 4 phases of marketing. So the first one is your brand, right? We can call it brand alignment. We can call it building your brand kit, your brand guide, but your brand includes your rockstar statement, your elevator pitch, whatever you want to call it, your brand voice, which your brand voice kind of includes your core values and things that you say a lot. Like you'll hear me say things like messy success, shine the light, highest good. You'll hear these buzzwords that I use over and over. That's all part of your brand. And of course, it's visual elements like fonts and colors and even textures. Gosh, I worked with one business owner who, had invested a lot in branding. She had nice, clean, simple branding, but I was like, I don't feel anything. Like you need some textures or some colors that give me like a feeling. And it's kind of hard to describe that. But thank goodness, I have an incredible creative director on my team, Ilya, who has been on the podcast before, who really speaks that language of taking these brand voice elements, taking your elevator pitch, how you help people, and turning it into visuals. And this brand phase, there's so much, mixed signals out there on how much do you spend on your brand when you're just starting out. Like, what if I'm not making any money yet? Should I really invest a bunch of money in my brand? Not necessarily. There's some really great DIY options out there, but the most important thing to understand about branding, you guys, is not that it has to be the best. It's not that it has to be the most beautiful, but it does need to reflect your inner being, your confidence level on the inside should reflect on the outside. And if you're just starting out, that's okay. My first logo was pretty darn clunky, and I used it for a long time in my photography brand, but it was still a logo. I created it myself. Now I did have a little graphic design background, but it was just a font, and I think it had a few little like bubbly looking things, but it was recognizable, repeatable, and people started to recognize that brand repetition so that they could have recognition. And it does not have to be fancy in the beginning. Even Ilya will create the simplest text-only logo for some of our customers and clients that are just starting out, because this isn't about getting paralyzed and making everything perfect. It's about taking that special statement on how you help people and creating some visuals around that so that you can hit the ground running. And branding, you can always circle back to it and make it better. It is an ever-flowing thing, kind of like having a house. It's never finished. Kind of like having a website. It's never finished. But the most important thing is that you're constantly rowing in the direction of having your outsides match your insides. And nothing makes me more crazy than getting a pitch in my inbox or networking with someone or seeing someone in a Facebook group who I can tell is so good at what they do, and they have a crappy headshot or crappy branding. You guys, for some of my PR clients, I have had to turn away speaking engagements and podcast guests because I'm like, having them on the podcast does not elevate us or them, because even though I think they know what they're talking about, their outsides don't match their insides, right? And it's not materialistic or petty. It is important. And think about all the business owners that you admire that are really creating impact, right? They're somewhat put together, right? Like, you want to show people that you believe in investing in your business because you're asking them to invest as well. So it is important. So that phase 1 is brand alignment, branding, your brand voice, getting clear on your ideal client, your niche. And if you want to know if you fit into this category, you might be super passionate about your work, but you're still kind of figuring out how to monetize it and how to stand out, right? And our deliverable for this phase is that we work with you to create a brand guide to really nail these things down without getting stuck in the weeds of it. Okay, phase number 2 is value. Okay, we can call this value alignment. We can call this proof of concept is a way I really like to look at it. Your offer. But basically, if you're in this phase, you're starting to make some money and people are starting to recognize your work, but you're kind of seeing a lot of ups and downs. You can't really nail down the consistency of what's working or what's not working. And this is where we really start to work on your marketing plan, that offer. How do we make you stand out above the crowd? How do we get super clear on the problem that you solve in a way that it is what people are saying when they roll out of bed in the morning? And I myself went on a really crazy journey with this, where I was like, I want to teach community and leadership. But the problem is, people don't roll out of bed in the morning saying, gosh, I really struggle with community and leadership, right? They're not really self-aware that they're struggling with that. But what they might say is, like, I have a Facebook group and nobody's responding to my posts, or nobody talks back to me on Instagram, or my following is small. How do I get more followers? How do I get to speak on stages? Like, those are real problems that people talk about. But what solves that problem is the thing that I teach, which is building community and leadership. So I had to have this aha moment of just telling people that I'm good at helping them with their leadership skills wasn't the value alignment that I needed. I had to start talking about their problem. So that's what we work on there. And this is where we really start putting together a marketing guide or a marketing kit, right? And we're going to build this together. Phase 3 is profit. You can call it profit alignment, launch alignment. Maybe you're seeing consistent sales and you're starting to hit some of your goals and you're really starting to get some momentum. Your business is now profitable, right? So brand alignment, you're kind of just getting off the ground and getting started. Value or proof of concept is like, okay, this is working. How do I get it to consistently work? And now profit is where things are consistent, profit alignment. So you're consistently starting to see that number in your bank account go up. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not having roadblocks or you're not investing in that expensive program that, maybe didn't get you the results that you wanted. But this is where we're really going to build out your sales kit or your sales process in a way that we're super clear on your numbers, right? Okay, if we send this many emails each month, we're seeing this result. Or if I book this many sales calls, I'm going to convert this many. So profit alignment is really all about getting super clear on that repeatable process. What is working and how can we double down on that? That's a fun one, and that's where most people stay for a really long time. Most people that are stuck will stay in value. right? Or finding proof of concept and like kind of figuring out how to get out of that scaling, right? Profit is where you're right on that edge of being able to scale. So phase 4 is your highest good, or maximum impact, some people might call it. This is visibility, scaling. A lot of people call this scaling, but I like to think of it as what is my highest overarching goal. And to me, that's reaching my greatest potential, my highest good, having maximum impact. And this is all about visibility. And this is where you might start focusing on ads because you already know what's working because you've been through phase 1 through 3. Okay. We don't want to dive into ads too early or we're just going to be spending too much money. And you've mastered your sales. You have a nice buttoned up customer experience and you're ready to be featured on the biggest stage possible. And this is where we build out your PR pack for your visibility and for your pitching. And I have a PR bundle that we build out together that has all of your pitch templates and strategies to get in more summits, more speaking engagements, whatever it might be. How cool is this, you guys? I really enjoyed talking through that. Now, again, this is very raw. I will probably come up with, a little bit more specific branded names. I love the final one, being like we've reached our highest good and we're operating from our highest good. But this is my notes. I'm literally reading my notes to you guys, just knowing that this is the direction we are going. We have already welcomed our first student into the program. Shout out to Sarah. Sarah, my heart is bursting for you. I cannot wait to see your results. And this is it. We're going to move through these phases together. And if you come into the program and you're like, I've already got a brand, right? I've already got my fonts. I've already got my colors. My Instagram feed looks really good. Then I'm going to say, okay, great. Do you have a guide so that you can bring in a VA and they can create your social media graphics, right? You want your brand to be so tight that anybody can come in and help you. It's so hard and daunting and takes so much of your time to try to explain someone how to visually represent your business. So if you can't do that, then there's still work that can be done in that phase. But it also means you can just jump right to the next phase, right? We are on your timeline, but knowing what the next phase is, identifying where you are going is going to help you embody the characteristics and do the darn things that you need to do to get where you want to go. And I will leave you with a quote that Catherine Zenkina said recently on one of her podcasts that I listened to on a road trip that really stuck with me on, habits and productivity. And you want to ask yourself, what is going to feel good to get done? Not what is going to feel good to do. And I thought that was so good. And I can actually use recording this podcast as an example because my day was tight, y'all. I had meetings after meetings after meetings. I've got about 45 tabs open on my computer. And I went to check my calendar because I was like, I'm done with calls, right? I don't have any more calls today. And I look at my calendar and I look at the time and it says, record your podcast episode, because this is how I don't drop any balls, y'all. The things that I need to do get put in my calendar as if they hold the same regard as a client call. So I had client call, record your podcast, Liz. It's right there in front of my face. I cannot avoid it. And I was like, oh man, like my girls are about to get off the bus. I've had a really full day. I just finished my lunch. I had that moment of, am I going to do this? Am I going to record this podcast? And I looked at the time and I had a solid 45 minutes and I was like, yep, I'm going to do it because it's going to feel so good to have it done. And I just quickly was like, this is fresh on my mind, these 4 phases. Why not share it with the world and see if that's helpful for you? Because if you've been stuck in your marketing, it's because you haven't defined your next destination. So if you take anything away from this episode, I hope that you at least said, oh man, no wonder I'm not getting consistent sales, because I didn't spend any time on building my brand, which is my elevator pitch, my core values. If you don't have core values and a brand voice, you're going to look like everyone else. So you might be in phase 2 or phase 3 and stuck because you left out elements of phase 1 and so forth. So really defining these boxes is going to help you progress to the next one. So I hope you had a little teeny tiny golden nugget takeaway in here somewhere. Thank you so much for pushing play today. It really means the world to me that you are here, that you are listening to the Messy Success Podcast. Don't forget to join the Community Builder Facebook group, and you can conversate with us every single week. I have started sending daily text messages to our community builders with their prompts, so that you can just have prompts sent right to your phone so you know what to post in your community. And then sign up for the Growth Lab waitlist, or if you're interested in being coached through these 4 phases, you can book a call all at elizabethhenson.co/E125. Thank you, my beautiful, messy, creative friends. I'm so grateful for you guys, for your time and energy, and I will see you next week.